Bossk is a ferocious Trandoshan bounty hunter audiences first got a glimpse at in The Empire Strikes Back. His story, along with that of the other bounty hunters featured during that awesome scene, were further explored in fan-favorite Legends novel Tales of the Bounty Hunters, released in 1996. Bossk's particular story is called The Prize Pelt. Using his brief appearance in the original trilogy and this novel as a jumping-off point, this transmission is going to cover Bossk's full story, both canon and Legends. Bossk's natural abilities and desire to be a hunter are deep in his DNA. Trandoshans are reptilian humanoids with sharp senses, and their culture is built around hunting. Though only specified in Legends, their god is even called the Scorekeeper. They believe that every successful hunt earns them Jagannath points for the afterlife. If a hunter never earns Jagannath points, they would be reincarnated as prey. Their religion teaches that being captured was the greatest shame. If a Trandoshan hunter were to be captured, they would lose all their Jagannath points and have to restart. They could restore their honor by killing their captor. Bossk's full name is Bossk Wasak Crado, which roughly translates to devours his prey from the Trandoshan native language. Trandoshans would seek out challenging prey intentionally. Wookiees became a favorite target, a fact that galactic events encouraged when Wookiees were desired as slaves for various purposes. Bossk built his reputation as a Wookiee hunter. There's a legend that says that he even built himself up enough physically to be able to overpower a Wookiee. Staying in Legends, Bossk's early life is dark. He's the son of Kradosk, who was the leader of the Galactic Bounty Hunters Guild at the time. Trandoshans are born in egg clutches. When Bossk hatched, he ate all of his siblings. His father was delighted that his son had such a brutal instinct at such a young age. He started hunting while still young. It didn't take him long before setting his sights on Wookiees. While the tales of his earliest hunts are built in Legends, the word legend is very fitting, as it works in-universe as well as in ours. Whether the stories are strictly true or not, having the reputation of killing your siblings on your first day of life can only help your reputation as a hunter. Despite these stories of Bossk's early life being Legends, they are a great example of who he is. A merciless hunter, driven by both nature and nurture to hunt and kill. During the Clone Wars, Bossk was becoming well known throughout the galaxy. He would take virtually any job as long as the credits that would follow were worth it. He even worked with the young orphaned Boba Fett at this time. Bossk was a hunter, but also something of Boba's bodyguard. He respected the Fett name because of Jango's reputation as a hunter. This didn't just make for some entertaining Clone Wars episodes, but added a new dimension to Bossk. The cold-blooded solitary hunter was open to collaboration and would even serve as a mentor in the exact right scenario. He wasn't selfless in these alliances. Working with young Boba Fett, Aurra Sing, and Castus wasn't about making friends or Boba's vendetta against Mace Windu. Bossk was in it for the credits. Despite not having skin in the game, the most notable adventure with Boba Fett was in the attempt on Mace Windu's life. The plan sees Boba going undercover as a clone cadet. Bossk pilots Fett's ship, Slave One, as they take Republic hostages to draw Windu out. The plan, while a good attempt at taking down such a formidable foe, fails. This leads to Bossk's own imprisonment on Coruscant along with Boba. Showing some loyalty, but keep in mind it serves his own interests as well, Bossk isn't angry at Boba for the plan going wrong. He serves as a bodyguard while the two are locked up. The Republic, Obi-Wan Kenobi goes undercover as a bounty hunter called Hardeen. He provokes Boba, causing Bossk to step in. Their fight boils over into a full-on prison riot. Bossk shows his melee combat skills, not only in taking on the disguised Obi-Wan, but in assaulting a number of clone trooper guards as well. As a quick aside, there is a little bit of a contradiction here from canon into Legends. In Legends, if a hunter were to be beaten and captured, that was the ultimate humiliation, which would take away all of their points for the afterlife. In that version of the story, Bossk would have to hunt down and kill Ahsoka Tano in order to regain that glory. If you're getting value or entertainment out of any of my transmissions, it would mean a lot if you would join the Remnant and subscribe. There are further exploits of Bossk during the Clone Wars. He continues to hunt and continued to work with Boba. This time period establishes Bossk as a reputable and feared bounty hunter. His early days in Legends overlap with his Clone Wars exploits and are expanded upon. Prior to the Clone Wars, Bossk would hunt with his father, Kradosk. Kradosk was a hunter and taught Bossk the tricks of the trade. Some of the early lessons could be seen as a contradiction to Bossk's team-ups with Boba. Kratos hated the idea of bounty hunter teams and had no respect for the Bounty Hunters Guild, which also reads as a little bit of a contradiction, as he would one day run the guild, but it could be he thought the guild was an embarrassment as it was and decided he could do it better. Bossk forging his own path and adapting to the times isn't a contradiction in my eyes. During the Clone Wars, Bossk does enough jobs against the Republic for them to put a 35,000 credit bounty on his head for crimes against the Republic. There's a legend, Decide Your Destiny, The Way of the Jedi, that almost takes things too far. Bossk is in a dogfight against Jedi Master Bon Irin and her apprentice. He loses the fight, but survives. It feels like a stretch for someone to outfly Jedi Knights in their specialized assault Jedi starfighters. Either way, it all amounts to the same character traits for the Trandoshan bounty hunter. We don't have much canon information on Bossk during the early days of the Empire. Tobias Beckett is scolded by his partner Val when they say they should have hired Bossk for a risky job rather than some newbies. Nods like this and his appearance in The Empire Strikes Back tells us that Bossk remains active throughout the galaxy in these times. ABY-3 has Bossk years into his career chronologically, but is the first appearance for the character in the Star Wars universe. After the Battle of Hoth, Darth Vader assembles a number of bounty hunters aboard his personal Super Star Destroyer, the Executor. They're tasked with finding the Millennium Falcon and its rebel crew. Bossk stands out in this lineup of unique and interesting characters with his reptilian features, massive stature, and lethal-looking claws curling over the ship's decking. He doesn't have any lines in the movie, but he does get to snarl at Admiral Piet, who remarks,
"Bounty hunters. We don't need that scum."
Bossk and the others accept the job. Considering the amount of time Bossk and Boba spent teamed up during the Clone Wars, I have to wonder if something happened between the two of them at a point that puts them at odds, or if they both just see it as business. The War of the Bounty Hunters occurs when Fett loses the carbon-frozen smuggler. A mad grab happens, pitting crime syndicates and bounty hunters against each other. Bossk ambushes his former ally, trying to defeat him in combat and claim the bounty. Boba Fett is not messing around when it comes to this bounty. He blows off Bossk's legs. Bossk is lashed to a tree in the snow, which is extra dangerous for him since he's cold-blooded. He does end up surviving the ordeal, and his Trandoshan DNA will allow him to regrow his missing limbs. His ultimate fate is still unknown. I'm sure, given enough time, we'll see more from the Trandoshan bounty hunter. Though his earlier days see him with his father as a partner in Legends and Boba Fett and some others from time to time in canon, by the Imperial era, the only relationships that Bossk has left are rivalries. Another canon story has Bossk squaring up to the massive Wookiee Black Krrsantan. The two run into each other at a bar when Krrsantan is in the employ of Dr. Cheli Afra. The Imperial era in Legends has things laid out for Bossk quite differently. Despite some stories saying that Bossk's father, Kratos, didn't respect the Bounty Hunters Guild, he does lead it at a point. The Bounty Hunter Wars reveal that Bossk overthrows and even eats his father to take control of the guild for himself. Bossk's coup splits the guild in two. He leads a reformed version filled with younger, more aggressive bounty hunters. The veteran hunters called their side the True Guild. This war gives a big piece of Bossk's psyche that is missing from canon. In Legends, he's not just fighting for credits. He's trying to prove himself as something more. One of my favorite legends of Bossk comes from the amazing novel Tales of the Bounty Hunters. The story, The Prize Pelt by Kathy Tyers, focuses on Bossk. This short story is set at the time of The Empire Strikes Back and follows Bossk's attempt at getting the bounty on Solo. To show how desperate he was to succeed, Bossk puts his prejudice aside and teams up with Chen Lambek, a Wookiee, and Chen's protege, Tinian Ayat, a human. The uneasy alliance is threatened by treachery at every turn. Chen goes into the deal planning to turn on Bossk. His real motivation for the team-up is to stop Bossk from hunting more Wookiees. Bossk, in turn, fully plans on turning on his allies the second that he has Han Solo in his claws. The story becomes a tense game of cat and mouse where each party is both predator and prey. They're trying to outthink the other side so that they can turn on their ally at the exact right time. We all know Bossk isn't successful in his hunt for Han Solo. The story has him outsmarted and humiliated. It shows the overconfidence he has and shows how his speciest thoughts let him down. It's a nice morality tale about the cost of bigotry. This tale fills in what Bossk could have been doing while the movie follows the characters to Cloud City. Another big difference in Legends is Bossk and Boba Fett's rivalry. We discussed a particularly brutal encounter between the two in the Imperial era, but their early days as allies is absent in Legends. The divide that Bossk creates in the Bounty Hunters Guild puts Boba Fett on the opposing side. Bossk tries over and over to get the upper hand on the Mandalorian, but is always outmaneuvered. Bounty Hunter Wars does have these two allies for a brief time. Like the shaky alliance in Tales of the Bounty Hunters, this one is constantly under threat of betrayal. Bossk makes the first move in this regard and tries to turn on Boba to claim a bounty for himself. Boba Fett, one step ahead yet again, sees the betrayal coming and beats Bossk to the punch. Bossk loathes Boba Fett in Legends. He doesn't just see him as a rival, but as someone who took guild leadership, prestige, and honor away from him. Another Legends novel, Tales of the New Republic, follows Bossk later into his life. Even with so many years passing, Bossk is still bent on vengeance against Boba Fett. The time he's spent nursing this grudge has taken its toll on his psyche. He's bitter and angry, still prideful, but it seems like nothing can make him happy at this point. Setting scores is his main goal, not just against Boba, but anyone who he feels has wronged him in any way. These character flaws actually make Bossk a more well-rounded character. Legends gives something of a conclusion to Bossk's story, at least a mention of it in ABY 19. Boba reminisces on having outlived most of his rivals, including Bossk. Apparently, the divide in the Bounty Hunter Guild was the beginning of the end of its relevance. It never regains its former glory. A conflicting legend, Legacy of the Force, set in ABY 40, mentions some of the old bounty hunters, including Bossk, are still around, but past their prime. In canon, Bosk's story is not done. It's assumed that Bossk is out in the galaxy taking advantage of the power vacuum left by the collapse of the Empire and the shaky establishment of the New Republic. After the fall of the Empire, many bounty hunters capitalize on the uncertain times, some even becoming more akin to mercenary and guns for hire than strictly those hunting bounties. Whether canon or Legends, Bossk is depicted as a fierce, formidable figure. His Legends depiction is a bit more fleshed out with complexity and various relationships. He's a creature forged in a brutal upbringing from the moment of his birth. His Legend story is also more interesting because of his character flaws. His canon side does highlight some interesting traits as well, primarily in the being able to put personal greed aside, or at least make it less important to team up with characters like Boba Fett, Aura Singh, etc. In both continuities, he's a true hunter. He's dangerous, focused, and set in his ways. His core identity doesn't change, but it does evolve based on the stories. He's a great example of how the Star Wars universe can take these side or even background characters and flesh them out into incredibly interesting characters with rich stories to explore. Check out this transmission next to deep dive into more side characters from the Star Wars universe.